What's a fact that's real, but sounds completely fake? And they used to post your films to you. I remember getting the flyers for the free trial during the Freshers Week in my first week of uni. Edit, please stop replying to tell me they still do. That's great. Enjoy. I don't need to get my hopes up every time I procrastinate on Reddit that I might have a meaningful conversation, but it's just someone else telling me that a memory of something not that long ago is something that still exists. To a lesser degree, stop telling me I'm from the UK. I am aware of this and moved away to combat the problem. That terror was real and not some bizarre folk tale. At the start of the War of the First Coalition, Terror joined the French Revolutionary Army, where even quadruple the standard military ration was unable to satisfy his large appetite. He would eat any available food from gutters and refuse heaps, but his condition still deteriorated through hunger. He was hospitalized due to exhaustion and became the subject of a series of medical experiments to test his eating capacity, in which, among other things, he ate a meal intended for 15 people in a single sitting, ate live cats, snakes, lizards, and puppies, and swallowed eels whole without chewing. Despite his unusual diet, he was underweight, and with the exception of his eating habits, he showed no signs of mental illness other than what was described as an apathetic temperament. In 1956, Dr. Robert Brownlee, from Los Alamos National Laboratory in New Mexico, was asked to examine whether nuclear detonations could be conducted underground. The first subterranean test was the nuclear device known as Pascal A, which was lowered down a 500 feet 150 meters borehole. However, the detonated yield turned out to be 50,000 times greater than anticipated, creating a jet of fire that shot hundreds of feet into the sky. During the Pascal B nuclear test, of August 1957, a 900 kilogram, 2,000 pounds, steel plate cap, a piece of armor plate, was welded over the borehole to contain the nuclear blast, even though Brownlee predicted it would not work. When Pascal B was detonated, the blast went straight up the test shaft, launching the cap into the atmosphere at a speed of more than 66 kilometers per second, 41 mph, 240,000 kilometers per hour, 150,000 miles per hour. The plate was never found. Scientists believe compression heating caused the cap to vaporize as it sped through the atmosphere. A high-speed camera, which took 1 frame per millisecond, was focused on the borehole because studying the velocity of the plate was deemed scientifically interesting. After the detonation, the plate appeared in only 1 frame, but this was enough to make an estimation of its speed. Dr. Brownlee joked the best estimate of the cover's speed from the photographic evidence was it was going like a bat. Brownlee estimated that the explosion, combined with the specific design of the shaft, could accelerate the plate to approximately 6 times Earth's escape velocity. In 2015, Dr. Brownlee said, "I have no idea what happened to the cap, but I always assumed that it was probably vaporized before it went into space." Later calculations made during 2019, although with unconfirmed veracity, on the question of the survivability of the cap necessary to reach outer space are strongly in favor of its vaporization. Bamboo is a grass. Echidna has 4-headed penis. Peanuts are legumes, beans. Some carnivorous plants are sticky enough to trap birds, not the monkey cups in jungles. I'm talking about mats of sticky leaves strong enough to keep birds from flying away. Some people do not react with poison ivy, poison oak, or poison sumac. Giant kelp can grow up to 2 feet a day under the right conditions. Giant redwood and sequoia trees' branches get thicker as you go up, allowing for unique ecosystems to develop at their canopies. Pineapple is a kind of bromeliad. Strangler figs literally choke other trees by squeezing their trunks until they die. Some plants have no chlorophyll and get nutrients by parasitizing other plants. There is no agreed upon botanical definition of tree. Edits, fixed the tree thing and cleared up the oak and sumac, thank you to those that brought those to my attention. I've been watching YouTube pilots and airplane crash videos a lot recently. The passenger air mask's air is produced chemically. The process starts when you rip the mask down. It lasts around 20 minutes. Pilots have tight gas masks. There are multiple carryable oxygen tanks in airplane for passengers who need more oxygen, or if the oxygen runs out. The air is meant for rapid depressurization, when there's a hole in airplane in higher altitudes. You can breathe air in lower altitudes, even while the airplane is up. The air is meant for the time when plane descends to safer altitudes. Safest place in airplane is in the back of the plane. If the airplane crashes on water, it'll be in million pieces. You always want to hope that the pilot lands on land, even it meant the plane collides to trees in forest. Edit: if the plane is about to crash, the pilot might not make any announcement, or it might come few seconds before impact. There are stories that they weren't, which are often regarded as myths. But they are also known to have some kind of passed on culture and heavily suspected to have a complex language. Maybe they did try to attack us at some point in time and paid badly. Now, don't ever fuck with those. We did once and they came back and killed almost our whole family. But they have a weakness: be cute and cuddly, and they will even protect you. That said, around the coast of Spain there is a group which currently attacks sailboats, like ripping the rudder off and then trying to capsize them. So maybe, fuck it. They are stealing our food, putting poison in the water and making way too much noise. We don't care anymore. If we have to go, let's make it worth it. I really like them, still. Beautiful, fascinating animals. There's a family of birds where males spends their entire lives practicing insanely intricate courting dances. Just ridiculously complicated. Swan Lake level complicated. They're called birds of paradise, and they've faced pretty much no predation or outside environmental pressures for the majority of their existence. Basically their every need has been taken care of. So, the females have been the ones to instill the evolutionary pressure. They still wanted to be selective in choosing their mate in order to raise the best possible offspring, and the males still wanted to show they were worthy, so they kinda made up their own standards that somehow ended up building up into just a huge complicated mess. One of my favorites is a bird that has a chosen dance floor on the forest floor that it cleans every day. It moves all the leaves and sticks and shit that fell the night before until it's just bare dirt, and it practices its moves all day every day until a female comes along. Then it proceeds through a courting dance with 4 distinct parts in a very exact order, each part having a complex series of movements. These dances can last anywhere from 20 minutes to hours on end. And the majority of the time the female doesn't even stay for the whole thing. When they do succeed, it's a 10-second tops insemination and the female's on her way. And then the male just goes back to practicing for the next female. Just insane. The single deadliest man in history wasn't Stalin, or Hitler, or some dictator, but a mild-mannered chemist with over 100 patents named Drive Thomas Midgley. He invented a new method for mass-producing leaded, no-knock, gasoline, leading to widespread adoption, and later invented CFC refrigerants. Ironically, he was poisoned by lead due to working around it so much, leading to him later becoming an invalid. He built an elaborate series of pulleys to get out of bed, which led to his death when he became tangled in them and strangled to death. Was by all accounts a stand-up guy, but was responsible to 2 of the worst chemical disasters in human history, causing the premature deaths of literally hundreds of millions, and died by his own hand. We know how much gold is in circulation. Roughly, it's about 197,576 tons, give or take. But that's besides the point. Gold isn't valuable because it's useful, it's valuable because people want it. It's similar to the reason why a Lexus ES350 commands nearly double the price of a Toyota Camry despite being basically the same car. People make a personal value judgment and, generally speaking, value the Lexus more than the Toyota. Both cars are equally as useful, both have the same engine, both seat 5 people, get similar MPG, etc. etc. As a currency, gold's usefulness comes in with its physical properties. It's a great store of wealth because it doesn't degrade or oxidize at a rate significant on the scale of a human lifetime, or several for that matter. It's also a good middle ground of how rare it is. It's not as common as something like silver, nor is it as rare as something like platinum. Most importantly, it is also really hard to inflate at the whim of a ruler. DC can't just decide to increase the supply of gold like it can to dollars. The gold must be physically extracted from the earth and refined. This is why just going back to the gold standard really won't solve our currency issue. Prior to the US going completely fiat, its gold standard could be, and was, changed. If you wanted to print more money, just change how much gold a dollar can get you. It just adds another step to inflating currency, it doesn't prevent it. Pulled from a Vsauce video. The amount of ways a deck of cards can be arranged is 8 × 1067, which is 8 with 67 zeros behind it. To put that in perspective, set a timer for 8 × 1067 seconds. Now stand on the equator. After 1 billion years pass, take one step forward, then wait another billion years. Continue this process until you make it all the way around the world. After you circle the globe, take a single droplet of water out of the Pacific Ocean. Then, start walking again. Continue this process until the Pacific Ocean is empty of water. Once the Pacific is dry, place one piece of paper on the ground. Then restart the whole process before placing another piece of paper on top of the first. Continue this process until the stack of paper reaches the sun. Once you make it to the sun, the timer will still be at 8 × 1067 seconds. In the US, you are 12.5x times more likely to die at a doctor's hand through medical malpractice than be murdered by someone with a gun. This assuming 20k murders a year, which is 2020's number. And is abnormally high. It's typically closer to 10-11k. Annual medical malpractice deaths are around 250k, per the CDC. If you are in the US and you are not a violent criminal or gang member, you are 62.5x times more likely to die in medical malpractice than by gunshot. According to the CDC, the average number of gun murders that are gang-on-gang related is 80%. Going to the doctor in the US is a much greater threat to your life than any gun violence could ever hope to be. Heck, statistically speaking, a cheeseburger kills way more Americans per year than all weapons and violence combined. Now if you take an iron spring for example and you push it together with a screw clamp so that it is under constant tension, you basically apply energy to the system, which means that the iron spring and the screw clamp have to be more massive than if you just measure their weight individually. Let's say the iron spring has a mass of 1 kilogram and the screw clamp has a mass of 0.5 kilograms. If you put them together and force the spring to be under constant tension, the combined system has to be more massive than 1.5 kilograms. To be fair, the added mass is extremely tiny, but it is there, it is true and measurable. The next mind-blowing thing Einstein taught us is that time and space are one thing. If you move more distance in space, you can't be moving through time so much, and if you move through time you can't make a lot of distance in space. In other words, if you are fast, your wristwatch will tick slower than if you are slow. This is important for navigation satellites, for example. Because of the fact that they travel at a speed of 14,000 kilometers per hour. Their clock will go slower a couple milliseconds every day. If you don't count that in, our navigation systems would be extremely inaccurate. Instead of up to 10 kilometers, they just have a couple of meters inaccuracy every day. Einstein has given us the necessary tools to predict that two neutron stars, with each one having the mass of our Sun while just being 16 kilometers in diameter. Both of those doing several full rotations in a second while they are spiraling around each other, being about 1,000,000 kilometers apart. They will approach each other 7 millimeters every day. He knew that 100 years ago, which is absolutely insane. People can use their intelligence to accomplish crazy things, and most of us are not even aware of the things we could do as the most intelligent species on this planet. Our brain is the most effective tool we have, and some people refuse to use it. That makes me sad. In the 2002 film A Very Muppet Christmas Movie, set in NYC, Kermit the Frog viewed an alternate timeline, in the style of It's a Wonderful Life, so he could see what the world would be like if he had never been born. There's a few differences affecting the lives of the immediate characters, but the biggest change is that the World Trade Center towers are still standing in the alternate reality, while they're absent in the main timeline. Therefore, canonically in the Muppet universe, Kermit did 9/11. Everything to do with ETS, the fact that they have been here for thousands of years. For example, ETS landed in Italy in the 1950s and hung out with people, let them take pictures and go for rides in their craft. I learned about this on a series on Gaia, but this is the first link I found. https://www.historydisclosure.com/the-friendship-case-mass-contact-between-humans-and-aliens. They also made mass contact in the same decade with people in the NA through ham radios. The US and Canadian governments met with channelers that proved to be legit. The powers that were kept this hidden, but you can find documents online. Everything to do with ETS, the fact that they have been here for thousands of years. For example, ETS landed in Italy in the 1950s and hung out with people, let them take pictures and go for rides in their craft. I learned about this on a series on Gaia, but this is the first link I found. https://www.historydisclosure.com/the-friendship-case-mass-contact-between-humans-and-aliens. They also made mass contact in the same decade with people in the NA through ham radios. The US and Canadian governments met with channelers that proved to be legit. The powers that were kept this hidden, but you can find documents online. Cow alligators and crocodiles surprising will protect their hatchlings up to a year after birth. A cow would allow her hatchlings in a pouch in her mouth to protect them when it comes to transport. The idea of having a pet alligator or crocodile dates back to ancient Egypt, as they were effective as guards. They were considered sacred, like cats and dogs. The ancient Egyptians were serious about treating these kinds of creatures like dogs. They formed one of the first animal welfare laws with the death sentence as a consequence. China currently has a similar law as in effect to protect panda bears. It was an early form of wildlife conservation. If the entire timeline of the universe were placed onto a calendar year, with the Big Bang the first millisecond of January 1st and the present midnight after December 31st, the very first modern humans would be seen on December 31st at 11:54 p.m., only 6 minutes ago in an entire year of time. The first human cities in history were created at 11:59 and 35 seconds p.m. Civilization began 25 seconds ago compared to an entire year. 1 month is just over a billion years, and a single hour is almost 2 million years. Our sun was born August 31st on this calendar, and animals did not enter land until December 21st. Our galaxy didn't even form until May. This is called the cosmic calendar. If you want to be amazed, checking out the series Cosmos, a space-time odyssey. It's insane. Non-avian, dinosaurs went extinct before grass existed. Bonus fact, there is a smaller gap in time between T-Rex and humans than between T-Rex and Stegosaurus. Additional bonus fact that doesn't really meet the question, but why not? T-Rex is probably the only animal species that is referred to by its scientific name in casual conversation. Tyrannosaurus rex is the full name, and T-Rex is a scientifically acceptable abbreviation. I could be wrong on this, there may be others, but I don't think there are. In 1916, a fortress in Poland was gassed by the Germans so they could take it with minimal effort. When the soldiers, around 7,000, got to the fortress, several of the soldiers, including the base commander, were still alive, albeit dying. Their appearance, covered in blood and coughing up more of it, and occasionally lung tissue, made them look like they had risen from the dead. This caused the Germans to panic and run for it. The Russians figured, hey, we're gonna die anyway, may as well kill them too, that's my interpretation anyway, and attacked, killing a fair few of them and routing the attackers. The fortress held for 3 more days before it had to be abandoned.